Hello everyone, this is Steven from the Even Steven channel, and today we're talking about Pistols of the Warlord, Chinese Domestic Handguns, 1911 to 1949, by Ian McCollum. And this is actually quite a hefty book. I tried to get a weight of it as best I could, and my very gross measurement of this came to 6.5 pounds. So this book weighs as much as some rifles. It is quite big. It's over 550 pages long, and it's not physically not a small book either. You know, it could be a lot of pages, but it's also physically wide and tall. So where do I begin? So this is a book review, which I don't do a whole lot of. Where do I start with a book review? Well, I guess I'll start with the story. Normally you don't have a story that comes along with a book review, but I guess we have one. So this is Ian McCollum, who is best known for things like Forgotten Weapons. Forgotten Weapons is also a website, also a YouTube page. He is now a publisher, part of a publishing company called Headstand Publishing. He wanted to publish his own book about French rifles and started his own publishing company so he could publish his own books. Great for him. But some of the books that he was putting out didn't interest me as much. There was the French rifle book, there was the British rifle book. That really didn't speak to me. However, when he had this idea of Chinese domestic handguns during like the Chinese Civil War and the Warlord era, I was like, what? That's kind of cool. And I saw some of his videos on YouTube about Chinese, mystery pistols, and I was like, all right, I'll sign up to that. So I think it was like a $100 pre-order. And this is a long time ago. This might be approaching a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I don't know. Because this book is like 9 months behind schedule before it got delivered. And there were some reasons for that, certain production issues, certain printing issues, but this book came 9 months late. It did. And I don't say it's a bad thing, but yeah, it was 9 months late. And one of the things I added on to it, so I'll go without, it was not only did I get the box, but some other things came along with it. I also believe, I think I had to pay extra for this. This is Arming the Dragon, which is another book which I haven't read, but this is more about Chinese rifle production, which I might get around to reading one day. And this is a reprint of a book that someone else had written, and Headstand Publishing added that on, and that was something you can add on to get as well. I don't know what package I got. I think this is a standard book. But along with it came this kind of map. I think this is where they were having trouble with Chinese printing of this book, where the Chinese government wouldn't allow the printing of some of these maps. And these are just very simple era maps, of certain times. It's dated 1918. This map is dated 1922. So you see the changing, the shifting boundaries of some of these areas. I really can't draw much from it, but they kind of look cool. But apparently the Chinese government did not like some of that. Also, a cocktail list, a cocktail guide. Okay, I mean, that's not really my jam, but I think it came with it, so. And I hope I did not lose it, but there's a little sticker that came with this, and I have gone and lost that. Oh, no, here it is. It's on the floor. This appears to be a little sticker you can peel off and stick onto something, so yeah, it's pretty cool. It's cool. So after all that introduction, 4 minutes, we haven't really talked about the book yet. So what exactly did I get? And I'll say this is, first of all, quite a large book. But it might not be the book you were expecting. If you were expecting a book that dived real deep into the history of China at this time, you might be a little bit disappointed, because apparently there really isn't a whole lot in the way of history, or way of, in the way of documentation of the production of firearms in this time. And what you're left with, oh, there's Ian. And what you're left with is basically a coffee table, the biggest coffee table book I've ever seen, that has just phenomenally great details. There is a little bit of history, however, it's pretty brief, and just my mind wrapping around it is hard to understand all these things outside of context. And as I'm going through these pages, you may be able to tell that these pages are actually extremely glossy, if you see as I'm doing this. And actually, if you don't get it from quite the right angle, it's difficult to read. So the book's very big, it's very heavy, and if you don't have it in quite the right position, it's hard to read. So it is awkward. And there's actually a little more history than I remember it being in the beginning of this book. But actually what I wanted to do was just kind of go to this. And this is just phenomenally great. High detailed. Again, the gloss. High quality. Just amazingly well done, well photographed, detailed pictures of basically knockoff Chinese production pistols. Now, not all of them were, low quality knockoffs. Some of them were made by more reputable arsenals. But this is pretty much the book. This is 80% of the book. Just kind of going through different variations. They categorized them as best they could. These are all, almost all of them are 32 ACP or 7.65 Mauser handguns. And just great top quality photography to show what these guns were like. And in between there, I didn't really mark them off. Let me get some here. I was trying to look at the sides here, see if I can pick something out. But once in a while they will just kind of stop that and do some history lessons. And then towards the end, there are some also, wow, it's a long book. It's a long book. It's a long book. Some interesting things that maybe you could have stuck in the beginning about production and markings. Something about the C96 Mauser. Interesting thing about select fire mechanisms. And again, and then some things about the different arsenals. And yeah, again, 80% of the book is basically, let me just open any page. 80% of the book is this. You'll get a firearm. They'll analyze as best they can, try to understand when it was made, where it was made as best they can, and just kind of show you what it looks like. Now, was this book worth $100? I would have to actually look up the price I paid for this book, because I ordered it so long ago, I don't remember the exact price I paid. But the photography is just amazing. But that's a lot for a book. However, these kinds of books, these firearms reference books, I guess is what it is, even though it's kind of almost written like a coffee table book, these firearms reference books demand a lot of money. And to be fair, if you were thinking about buying something like this, if you, and I'm going to say something like, I mean a firearm like this, if you were thinking about buying one of these Chinese mystery pistols and you were trying to ascertain what it was as best you could, this would be invaluable. If you really just love Ian McCollum and Forgotten Weapons, yeah, you're probably, if you're a fan of Forgotten Weapons, yeah, you probably want this too. But for the average person, I don't know. It really depends how much. Wow, that's a pretty cool Mauser, actually. I'll give him that. The average person probably doesn't want something like this. You have to be really interested in firearms, a real big fan of Forgotten Weapons, thinking about buying a gun like this. It's not a gun for everyone. Sorry, not a book for everyone, or a gun for everyone. It's not really a book for everyone, but if you're kind of in that niche, then yeah, I probably would feel it. But keep in mind, like I said, if you were expecting a history lesson, you're not going to get it. There is history in here. However, it's less than 10% of the book. And I guess that is just about going to do it. This is Stephen from the Even Steven channel with my book review of Pistols of the Warlord, Chinese Domestic Handguns, 1911 to 1949 by E. McCollum. Hope you enjoyed that. I wonder if it was boring. If not, well, I'll have a gun video in a week or two. Please do all that like, share, and subscribing. I will see you next time. Thank you, and goodbye.